Hello, my honeys. I think we're just going to get things started here. I'm trying to watch this on YouTube as well, so I think there's a little bit of a delay. If you hear me, maybe you want to just kind of say hello in the chat. I'm still trying to figure out how to do this live while I'm streaming on StreamYard as well as YouTube. So I think I'm going to get it at some point. It says it's waiting for me. So yeah, it's starting to come up. Okay. I don't know. Do you all hear like, okay. Okay, I think it is like a delay. Okay. I'm not sure which one I should watch it on. But anyway, if you are watching me, I might switch it back to StreamYard. We'll see. So hello, my yeah, let me mute that. Hopefully that's like, is it like double? Hey, the jazz effects. Can you all hear me? Hey, Kiki. Nice to have you both here. You all, it took me a moment. I had to heal for real. I had to heal um, from the you know what. From the what do they call it? The pancake, whatever they're calling it. But yeah, hey, jazz effect. You don't hear double? Okay, I was hearing that for whatever reason. So I don't know what's going on with that. But I really liked doing the midnight tea. So it's not quite midnight here, but I think it's midnight somewhere. So we could do the midnight tea again. I think, oh yeah, the panini is the panini. I was like, pancake, what are we calling it? I had to heal from that, y'all. You sound loud and clear. Okay, cool. So what we are going to do is, and I don't know if any of you all got a chance to watch the midnight tea, which is just me kind of doing some channeled messages from spirit. No particular agenda. I did pull a few cards, the alchemy cards. And so I think I'll kind of start off with those cards and we'll just see where spirit takes us. So we're going to have 3 groups. And I will try to remember to put the timestamps for these 3 groups. I'll do it unless somebody wants to help me out with that. But we're going to do 3 groups and we're just going to see what message spirit has. Spirit has been giving me little downloads all day. And I've been paying attention to the energy of the day too. Yeah, there's a lot I could share about that, but we'll see how it comes up. So let's hop into group number 1. So I'm going to put that up with the banners. Let's just put in group number 1. I hope everybody's doing well. It's good to connect with you all. Definitely feeling better. I have a little bit of a cough left still, but it's way better. So yeah, why don't we just see where we go from here? So the first group, I have this the alchemy cards. Do you guys have this deck, the alchemy cards? So the first group we're going to do is symbolizing by Neptune. So Neptune, whenever I think of Neptune, and you could put it in the comments what you think about Neptune, but I think in my chart, my natal chart, my Neptune's debilitated. It might even be in my 7th house, which is kind of like, I don't always see people, especially people I'm in relationships with. I don't always see all of them. Like some of them is a little bit shrouded. So I think I've gotten better lately. But I used to just be like, oh, this person is just so loving, so kind. And everybody else is like, really? Really? So Neptune always kind of reminds me of that kind of energy where you can think, it has a little bit of a shroud sometimes. But it also is about Pisces. It's about our imagination, our creativity, our dreams. It's a very dreamy planet. It also can be about our spirituality, but it can also be that kind of spirituality where spiritual bypass happens. So we have to be careful with Neptune energy because sometimes it can elevate us, or we'll elevate ourselves to gods. And we are still quite human in many aspects. So that's the Neptune energy. So let's ask Spirit what it wants to talk about in terms of Neptune. Thank you. Yeah. So let's see what Spirit has to say, channeled message wise, about Neptune for group number 1. Because Neptune is the planet of the mystics, the seers. It's also the planet of activating doorways too. Interesting. When I said that, you got mountain cabin. So here it says, there are times when solitude can be healing and enlightening. Interesting. What else, Spirit, before I say? Scarecrow, remember that you are not alone. Move in confidence as you are guided. So I think Spirit is saying here that you are I'm hearing on the threshold. Hey, Amor and Aura, how are you? Yeah, you are on the threshold, Spirit is saying, of entering into a new spiritual doorway, if you're in group number 1. And what Spirit is saying here is that before you go through this doorway, before you step over that threshold, it's going to be important that you do some kind of self-assessment. And it's just kind of a check-in with yourself about where you are going and where you have been. It was interesting because right before I clicked the live button, I had this little statue of a Naga. Do you all know what a Naga is? It's like the Buddha is meditating, but there's all these like snakes, serpents around the Buddha. You can't really see it because it's kind of like a gold, kind of like a brass statue. But I mean, you can look up Naga, Naga. But I don't know why, but Spirit was pointing my attention to this little statue because Spirit was saying here that, just in general, when I think of the serpent, I think of a deep kind of transformation. And there's something about being in your own Neptunian energy, group number 1. It's going to be a time where you might feel like you need to be off on your own, kind of like a hermitage of some sort. But the hermitage, we have to be careful because we don't want to stay too long in that alone energy. And Spirit is saying there is something there for you, some kind of quiet, some kind of deep contemplation, group number 1. Because you are getting ready to enter into a doorway that's very Piscean, meaning you are going to be making decisions through this portal, through this doorway, that will influence long-term outcomes in your life. So this is not short-term decisions. There is something that you are looking at, and Spirit wants you to bring forward all of your intuition, all of your inner knowingness. And Spirit is even saying that you may want to even pay attention to your dreams right now, because the number 165, by the way, might be important to you if you're resonating with this group, because it takes Neptune 165 years to rotate around the sun. So for some of you, 165, you might be seeing it, or 165, it's going to be an important number for you in some kind of way. You may add it all together, because what is that? 12 comes to 3. So some of you may be seeing 3 a lot, 3, 3, 3, 3. But what Spirit is saying here is that there is, hey, Sheena. Yeah, I decided to go live. I was finished with my work day and I was all like, let me go live before I just take everything off and see what my folks are up to. So thank you for joining. We're just doing some midnight tea messages that Spirit wants you to know about. Yeah. This is going to be about freeing yourself to group number 1 from some energies. Hey, Cindy, good to see you. Yeah. You know, there was something today, and it hasn't just been today, but I'm going to share something personal a little bit. When I first moved into this place, I saw only the outside of it. And then when it was time for me to see the inside, they were kind of like, oh, we'll just do like a video, tour of it. And I totally trusted these people. And you know what happened when I moved in is I realized it had a temperature problem. Like this place was like 90 degrees on the inside. And I won't get into all the details of how that was, but I realized, I was like, dang, like people will really just sit there and lie to you about a place for just money. I don't know. There's something really idealistic about me. I told you, got my Neptune. So I'm always like, really? You just lied about that? And you pretended like this place was okay. You were showing me on video. And I realized throughout the whole year, I was having a problem with this place. And it was, hey, cicada. So I was realizing in all of that, it wasn't so much that the place had this problem. For me, it was like the people were lying about it. And I don't know why that kind of, I don't know, it put me in some kind of weird funk. And I realized this week, I go, the lease is up. And I was all like, should I move? And I'm all like, hell yeah, I should move. And it was just so interesting to see when I gave my notice, how these people responded to me, which was no response. Like they just ignored my notice. And I started to realize, because God was just telling me right in that moment, no, you were giving these people the benefit of the doubt, but they're actual liars. Like they just wanted to lie or whatever. I don't know the reason. I don't need to know the reason. But I don't know why I felt like I needed to share that. But I think like during this energy group number 1, there's something about us that really wants to believe in the real deep kind of community feel of humanity. But there are some people that haven't transitioned through that doorway yet. And I keep thinking, no, we're moving, we're shifting there. But there's some people who really just want to hang on to the materiality of relationships. Like they don't care about people. They only care about what they're getting. And it's not everyone, right? But it's kind of interesting how, I don't know about you all, I'm seeing like there's just a real gap between people who know about where we're heading and then the people who don't know. And they're kind of still playing their old games. In fact, Spirit was saying in one of the channeled messages, games are for losers. But it's kind of like these people will not realize how much they're losing until they're way deep into their game and nobody wants anything to do with them. I don't know why I'm going on this tangent, but Spirit is saying here, in this exorcist card, that we have to sometimes, I think this Neptunian energy is about freeing ourselves from assumptions about like where everybody is going, because we can easily get into like, oh, there's this great humanity shift, but there are people who are still struggling to understand their own humanity, and it comes out in how they treat other people. And I was like, what did you really get from that? I mean, I was a person who paid my rent on time. I could afford to live here. You know what I mean? I was all like, what did you get from that? Because I'm going to leave now. And now they're mad that I'm leaving. But anyway, back to y'all. The Exorcist is kind of talking about how we have to understand that for some people, this life is just about the present moment. Whereas many of us, we understand our lives. There's an old Kemetic saying that I always used to love, Egyptian saying, that would say, live tomorrow as today and today as tomorrow. I think that's how it goes. Let me know if that doesn't make sense, but live tomorrow as today and today as tomorrow, meaning all of your actions today will influence your tomorrow. They will. And in some of us, we understand that because, you know, when you get a blessing, you're like, okay, that was the result of a good decision I made. And so you can see it automatically sometimes. And so this is kind of, I think in group number 1, Spirit is wanting you to understand, because I see this card, dehumanizing, to make sure that in our motions, to get things done, to move ahead, to be successful, that we are not dehumanizing anyone in that process. Now, I don't know if this is a specific message for you, group number 1, but I think it's about understanding that there are impacts to our decisions. And so Spirit is saying here, just to understand that when you're dealing with people, and that it's not always light and love, but to understand that you should still remain in that energy regardless, which is kind of hard sometimes, right? Because, you know, Spirit is showing us we can easily feel like we're a prisoner to the people who demonstrate these kind of things. We can easily feel like we're a prisoner, but we're not. We are still able to be in our own truth, to live in our own truth. And we don't have to succumb to how people think about this world or how they treat others. We know there's another reality, but we have to kind of keep the balance here. I guess what Spirit is pointing is that natural balance. Let's see what else Spirit wants to say when it comes to your midnight tea. I feel like I have to get warmed up. So for group number 1, it's always kind of like choppy to me, but I hope it makes sense. Yeah, you have to, like, Cicada, I'm glad you're saying that. Like, sometimes you really do have to pity the liars, because you're like, okay, what was that even about? You know, like, why was that even a thing? Okay, I thought I saw a card flip out. That's interesting. Oh, you know what? It flipped over. Hold on. Yeah, King of Swords. You know what's interesting too is like, yeah. Pearl Blue. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, thank you, Cicada, because I think what's happening here is like the King of Swords. I think sometimes when we're in swords energy, we really just want to be factual. In fact, do you know what I first titled this live? It was like, why are they salty? Because you are no longer looking at potential. You're just looking at the facts of how people how people act, how people show up, you know? And I kind of changed it in the end because I was all like, well, let me just do midnight tea because I don't even know what Spirit's talking fully about. But Spirit is saying there is a danger to just being in the energy of the sword, because the energy of the sword always just wants to deal with the facts, and that's fine. But we also have this Neptunian energy too, meaning we do need to see ahead, how we're growing, the mystical. All of those things are important, but there's something here about how we think about it could also keep us imprisoned. I hope this is making sense. It sounds a little esoteric, but that's what I'm hearing from Spirit, is just to understand that there's a balance to this life. And sometimes we have to not just be about the potential and not see what's actually happening in front of us. And I think it does, when the Four of Wands comes up, it's about celebrating life, humanity, but also keeping very clear that there are times where we have to protect ourselves. There are times where I said to someone today, and I drew, let me see if I can draw it even quickly for you all, if I have a piece of paper. I drew this for somebody today because, sometimes I think we have to see it in a visual. But imagine this is just you, right? Just you in a circle. And then draw several circles around you. And this is what I explained to someone. I go, this next line is your inner circle. These are the people who are in your life that you trust, who respect you, who love you, who would never let anything intentionally happen to you. This is your inner circle. Now, the next circle are people who maybe they do know you, they love you, but sometimes they respect you, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they know how to communicate that love, sometimes they don't. And in some ways, you need a little bit of a distance from them sometimes. And I explained that every one of these lines, and then this is your outer community, acquaintances, business colleagues, if they're not closer to you. And this is kind of a way that you relate to relationships sometimes, which is you and your inner circle. Your inner circle is going to protect you. Your inner circle is going to consider you. And this is a privilege to be in your inner circle. The inner circle is a privilege. The inner circle is access to you. And so you have to be very careful about who you allow in this inner circle. And I was talking to this person and I said, but there's some people who might say, you know what? It should just be one big circle around you, not all of these tiers. But this is what I think Spirit is trying to explain, that maybe that will be the goal one day. But right now, who gets access to you? And know that these lines are dynamic. Like people can go back and forth between the tiers. And this is something that we have to understand about life, is that who gets access to you are the people who really care and will protect you. And the same for you. Hopefully you were in their inner circle as well. And I don't know if that makes sense, but it did at the time of that conversation, because that inner circle is so important. And many of us are brought up to believe that just because someone's related to us, they can be in that inner circle. Just because someone's gone to school with us or knew us since we were in elementary school, maybe that qualifies them to be in the inner circle. And more like, no. The inner circle, you get to decide what the qualifications are, but your inner circle is very important. And it doesn't mean that you have to have a lot of people there either. You can just have one person in your inner circle, or you can have 20, 30. It depends on the person. But many people, I notice, come to therapy because they're confused about their inner circle, and they let harmful people in their inner circle. And that way they spend a lot of their life in anxiety trying to protect themselves, because there's people in their inner circle that shouldn't be there. They have too much access. Because all these circles doesn't mean that you don't have contact with people. It just means you have the appropriate contact. So I think in a way, that's what Spirit 2 is talking about, is making sure that you're very, in this alone time, that you're very clear about who gets access to you and what are those qualifications. Because for every person, it might be different. But eventually, you will want to make sure that these are people you can trust and respect. Let me see what folks are talking about. Yeah. Yeah. And we all have to learn the hard way. What is that inner circle about? Who is it? Yeah, because look what can happen. But we've always got to know that no matter how hurt we get from relationships, there is, in this beautiful 5 of Cups, there are always 2 cups standing behind the figure, meaning there's always opportunities for more love, for more safety in relationships. And so, we go through that little mourning period, that little grieving period, but we also know that we can rise again and have true relationships. That's what that inner circle exercise teaches you. There's always, really, there's a billion people on the planet. So there's people out there for you. There's people out there. There's soul tribe out there for you. Don't get stuck on the ones that have turned over, because Spirit is saying there is soul tribe there. Don't let people's actions shut you down. I guess that's why I shared my experience with this house and these people I was ridden from. I was just like, I was really letting that get me down about a brand new place that I moved to. And the funny part was Spirit kept telling me, but you've met other people here. You've met really cool people here. And I was like, yeah, I just was letting that overshadow something where I was like, I was never going to be friends with these people anyway. So it was just, but I saw how my mind wanted to go to this place sucks. And I'm all like, it was just this one situation. So I think this is what Spirit is also saying with group number 1. Don't let, I don't know why I'm hearing it. Don't let a few bad apples spoil the tree, right? Yeah. Because really, Spirit is saying many of you have Emperor energy. Meaning, when people see you, some of you, many of you, they see opportunity. The Emperor knows not everybody in their court is for them. There are some people in your court because they want to see what they can get. And so the Emperor also has to recognize that as the most elevated leader, one of the most elevated leaders in the deck. The Emperor knows they've had to fight for this position in some ways. In other ways, it was, given to them by the divine because they are a great leader. But with leadership and with receiving prosperity and knowing who you are, because that's also prosperity, you will get many people who want to figure out how they can get the same thing, how they can get something. And so the Emperor knows, yes, Cindy, the Emperor is sharp. The Emperor has to learn how to work with their own Neptunian energy. They don't just sit on the throne and say, oh, these are all my subjects and I know they all love me. Not really. And it's okay to recognize that there are levels to who you let in. Okay? There are levels. to who you give information to. I was just talking to one of my cousins this weekend, and I was saying I got a channeled message for her. It's weird when you're in person, you're like, I'm really feeling like I need to tell you this. But Spirit was like, stop telling everybody your business. And I think it's really true. When you start to understand new levels, they say new levels, new devils. You don't give everybody your information. Even in this inner circle, sometimes you have to time it. When is it right to tell people your plans? Oftentimes after the plans have been completed. Okay? And that's just how you got to do it sometimes, because there's a lot of envy, there's a lot of jealousy out in the world, even from people who should love you. So you just kind of take it off their hands. You don't have to let them decide what to do with all the information you're giving them. Just don't give it. Let them see the results. That's all you got to do. And sometimes we've got to understand, even with this card, because Spirit is saying, you're not alone. But sometimes it will feel alone when you feel like, gosh, I can't share my wins. I can't share my plans because I'm not sure about people. It's not that. It's just allowing your plans to be in your own energy, you and your spirit team. Let you and your spirit team work on your goals and your success. And just let everybody witness the outcome. So that's another thing that I think Spirit is saying for group number 1. Let everyone see the outcome. Okay? Because you get far more things done that way. Yeah. Okay, Cicada, it's like, yeah, you don't need to tell everybody what the recipe is. Just let them taste the soup. Let them taste the gumbo. They don't have to be there for the making of it. You know what I'm saying? They don't have to. And in that way, you allow them to be at the level they need to be at without pushing their own growth process. Let them be ready. When they're ready, they will ask you genuinely, how do I make this soup that you've been making? Every time I taste it, consistently, it's good. And I'm asking you because I really feel like I could be nourished by something like that at this time. You know the ask. It's not the ask that, what's the recipe so I could, you know the ask. And so that's with everything in life. Let the ask be genuine. And until that time, Spirit is saying, group number 1, you're good. You and your spirit team, you've got this. Yeah, you're not alone. It's just growth, right? It's growth where people are. Yeah. Okay, are we ready for group number 2? I feel like that was a warm-up. So we'll see. Let me change it to group number 2. And send me your energy if you want to be felt in this group number 2. Let me change to 2. And if people want to help with any of the timestamps, I appreciate it. But I can also go back and rewind and do that too. But I do appreciate it. So group number 2, we're just doing midnight tea. We're doing midnight tea. I hope you all are doing well. Yeah. Thank you, Pearl Blue, Cindy, Cicada. Yeah. So group number 2. There were a few cards here. Spirit said to use them. From the Alchemy deck. I don't know if people have that deck. Okay, so the first card is... So this deck talks a lot about just how do we transform things, right? Alchemy. So the first card, Spirit, the androgyne. It kind of talks about the balance between the divine feminine and masculine. It talks about the energy that plays against the sun and the moon. It's also about, isn't it a beautiful card? It's also about the non-binary and how even in our very beginnings as a infant that went through the womb, you know, not many of us look like one gender. We probably kind of look like both. Is it a boy or a girl? Without people looking, is it a boy or a girl? So it's talking about certain moments in our lives, even in the womb, before we chose a certain chromosome, we were just beings. And it's talking about what does that mean to suspend judgment around all of who we are, to stop limiting who we are. This is also about the embodiment of who we are at a real level, at a maybe even like a scientific biological level, just who we are. We're beings, we're energy. And so this card is kind of speaking to that, the alchemical of just being who you are, your wholeness. There were 3 cards in this group. The other one is coagulation. I like these cards. I haven't learned all the meanings, so I took little notes. But this is talking about is earth energy, and how earth energy is about the solid. It's about fixed energy. It's about what is taking shape inside of us. But it also is about becoming stuck, because the opposite of earth energy is being fixed or stubborn, right? And some of that earth energy, we have to make sure that we are not just replaying things over and over again and being afraid to make change. So that's the opposite of earth energy, is making sure we're not how do I want to say, codependent, insisting that our relationships have to stay the same, without growth, without change, without shifting. So that's the kind of the other energy of the coagulant. But I also think about blood. Like when we cut ourselves, for most of us, there are some people who have certain conditions. When you cut yourself, it continues to bleed. But when you cut yourself, isn't it amazing? Like, just a few seconds later, the blood starts to kind of solidify. We have that ability in our body, most of us, to stop the bleeding on its own. I remember when I was a little kid, I don't know why I was bringing it up right now, but my mom, she used to not buy Band-Aids. And I was like one of those kids that was totally into Band-Aids. Mom, I cut myself. I need a Band-Aid. She'd be like, just let the natural air heal it. And I'd be like, no, I need a Band-Aid. But y'all could tell. I was one of those kids. I was all like, I'm hurt. I need a Band-Aid. I need everything wrapped up. So the last card is Sublimito. Isn't that beautiful too? Sublimito, which is air energy. It's talking about elevation, about rising. Air is about the alchemical process of heating something up, turning it into a gas, and then the gas rises. So this card is talking about how when we rise, we also have to be very careful that we don't just separate ourselves from everyone else. There's a danger there of rising so far up that we lose our connection with other people, with humanity. So it's also about keeping that balance. So these are our 3 opening cards, the energy: earth, air, and what we would call the balance, the non-binary of it all. Earth and air. That's kind of interesting, right? Because earth is kind of like at the lower level, and then the air is rising up. Let's see what spirit really wants to share with us. So those are the opening energies for group number 2. But let's see what spirit is saying here. Yeah. This is not surprising to see the 7 of Pentacles. Spirit is saying pull a couple more cards before I say something. Okay. We have Three of Swords in reverse. Oh, that's interesting. A card just flew out. We have the Emperor in reverse. And we also have the Three of Wands that just kind of flipped out. So I think Spirit wants to pay attention to this. Nine of Cups is at the bottom in reverse. There's something about that opening energy of air when Spirit was talking about making sure that you don't rise so high that you become separate from those around you. I think for group number 2, there's this message of working so hard on something, wanting something so much to manifest and come into being that you kind of, it becomes a third party in someone's relationship. You know, this card is not always about someone having an affair with another person. They could be having an affair with their work, meaning their work has become something that means more to them than the people around them, the relationships around them. That this kind of success means that you're not too concerned with what's happening with everyone else. And I think that definitely can be the energy of an upside down emperor. Too concerned about, you know, making sure that you're keeping all of the kingdom's riches and really, you know, doing a lot of strategy, but not checking in with your family. And this card kind of flipped out from the rest. And this could be a warning for someone in group number 2. It's very specific. But you may end up being surprised that someone wants to leave a relationship with you. You may end up being surprised because you're not focused on this person. And this person is starting to contemplate other scenarios for themselves. Because really, your work has been the thing that's been between you and this person. Late nights, weekends. For some people, their work can even preoccupy them. Like they're not making decisions. I mean, they're not like emotionally available. That's what Spirit is saying. Very interesting. Let's do some more. Yeah. So whoever's in group number 2 specifically, there could be, I don't know why Spirit is saying, a flight risk. We used to just use that term when somebody is about ready. We think somebody's about ready to quit the job. We're like, they're a flight risk right now. But, you know, jokes aside, in someone's relationship, there could be someone who's thinking about leaving it because you work too hard. Or you might, but vice versa, take it where it resonates. You may be that person contemplating leaving someone because they're working too hard. They're not investing in the relationship. Look, Harvest Witch, what sacrifices have you made for the greater vision? And that's very interesting, the wording of that. I think for some people, they see this work as a sacrifice. Let me just focus on this. Let me just make sure I get this promotion. Let me just make sure that I finish this project. And at the same time, they don't realize that their relationship is in danger. And the things that they thought would matter to their partner or matter to their spouse, it's not the same thing. You know, I don't know why that's coming up, but it is. Spirit is saying strongly that although your path is unclear, it's there waiting for you. So you have the corn maze. I think too, Spirit is saying, you know, this job, making money, it's like an ever moving bar, right? You know, when you achieve one thing, there's another thing to achieve. And Spirit is saying, but your relationships, they're not like they're not a thing to achieve. And really a lot of this kind of focus could be breaking the heart of someone who's really close to you. Let's see if there's anything else that Spirit wants to say about that. And these are hard times, hard economic times. And a lot of people don't feel safe and secure when they're not focused on work. But Spirit is saying here, yeah, with the Knight in reverse, who do you have allegiance to? Is it allegiance to your job and to money and to social status? This is for somebody. It's about honoring your relationships. Victim. Playing the victim for positive feedback in the form of pity, inability to maintain personal boundaries. Yeah, in reverse, the victim is just that. No boundaries with work, taking calls, even if it's your spouse's birthday or your child just was born and you're like, oh, I need to go into work for a couple of hours, whatever. Like reprioritizing. Spirit is saying for group number 2, reprioritize some things in your life or risk losing them. And you will realize there is no amount of money that can replace those relationships. Yeah. Capitalism is a trip, y'all. And we're in the late stages of it. There's a lot of illusions around how you can make money and all this other stuff. I'm all like, dude, let me tell you something. And I say dude to everybody. But let me tell you something about late stage capitalism. You'll have a lot of people talking about, let me share my secrets for accumulating all this wealth. And you'll realize they're only sharing the secret because the process doesn't work anymore, hun. That's why they're sharing it. They weren't sharing it a few years ago because it was working for them. Now they're sharing it because it's on its last leg. Like most things for sale. So it is important, Spirit is saying here even, that you don't get taken in by all the get rich quick schemes. They are just that. Instead, dive into what you truly are connected to and truly are good at in your heart. That's the thing that will make you money. The things that you are truly an expert of. It's not, 1 month making a rug, 1 month making candles. If those are not the things you're really wedded to, what's inside of you? What do you have to offer? That's a true skill, And maybe for some people, your hobbies just should be a hobby. You don't have to sell it. Sell other stuff, I don't know why that's coming up, but it was. For somebody, they're searching. And it's not always about just making money. Sometimes it's these relationships that will get you your next job. That's what Spirit's saying. Sometimes it's about who you know and your relationships and how you treat people that will get you your next successful move. All right. Anything else for group number 2? I don't know. I felt like that was short and sweet. Let me see if there's anything else for group number 2. Midnight tea. Yeah. This is not so much about going out and doing things you don't know about. In this particular case for group number 2, this is about relying on and taking actions on things that really you have a passion about. Some people are spending a lot of time working on things they have no passion for. And in the midst of all of that, they're losing relationships that they really love. People that they love. They're losing people that they really love in their life. Somebody needed to hear that. Any last messages, Spirit? No, just that's true. Pay attention. Pull someone aside and check in with your spouse, your partner, your kids. Check in with folks that you care about. Let them know that you care about them and you love them. And maybe you've been focused on stuff lately, but you do care about them. They mean something to you. You know, I don't know why Spirit's showing me somebody's kid has been trying to show them a drawing they made lately. Go read your kid a bedtime story. You know what I'm saying? Those are the things that matter. They really do. Even though we have stresses, taking that time to show people around us that we are present with them, it will matter. It will matter in the long run. I don't know why Spirit just took me on that thing, but yeah. So let's go to group number 3. All right. Hopefully these are connecting. I'm just kind of like, all right, you know, I am trusting what Spirit's giving me. All right, group number 3. Now I haven't checked. I think I'm seeing the same comments in StreamYard. We'll hope and see. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Cindy. I have 2. You know, just thinking, I just need to study for this. And once this is over, I'll take you to the park. I'll do all this. You know, I just remember having those conversations. I mean, my child is older now, but I remember just kind of having to like stop and reprioritize some things. All right. Group number 3. What is the opening message? We have the rose. What is it called? Arium. The rose arium. It was talking about the petals of the rose and how the outer leaves are protecting what's innermost, and the inner leaves, I don't know, it was something very beautiful about this rose and the orientation. Oh, so the outer leaves represent the 7 planets, and the inner leaves are protecting what's innermost. Yeah, the golden rose. Something about Spirit saying for group number 3, there's something that's unfolding inside of you. But it may be like necessary to kind of protect it a little bit, but it is beautiful. Roses are kind of the feminine too. I mean, I don't think I can say it on YouTube, but you know, kind of like the rose is kind of like the inner rose of the feminine body. You know what I'm saying? And then we also have the red and white rose, the apibus. I don't know. There's something about like the vital force of the rose, like what it's protecting. And if you get what I'm saying, because I'm doing the code word for what I'm saying this is, but if you know what this is. In the feminine body, this little part, the how do I want to say, the center of pleasure, you know, it's the only part on the human body, regardless of, you know, in the feminine body, this part of your body is only for pleasure. It has no other purpose. And so there's something there that Spirit wants people to know about that its only sole purpose is pleasure. So this unfolding rose, yes, indeed, the bud. For those of us who know, we know. The bud. Oh, you brought 3 roses? Oh, I forgot I could show people's comments. I'm still learning how to do all this. Yeah, roses are so much. Yeah, and let's talk about it is the bud. So there's something there that Spirit wants to bring to our attention about the bud Oh, you're welcome, Jazz Effects. Thank you. What does Spirit want to say about this blooming bud? Regardless of gender, it is speaking to pleasure. What is it saying? I don't know why this came out, but it says we are too different. Let's see. Is this going to be like a little bit of a connection reading? Closer than close. Let's see what Spirit has to say for group number 3. The Scarecrow, remember that you are not alone. You know what? I saw that too, and I kind of bypassed it. It says 5D lover, though, and you are not alone. This is probably somebody that you've been connecting with in the 5D. You all may share kind of like plutonic energy. I have Pluto here. I don't know why. There's one that says quickie. I don't know where you all are, but there's something here about a connection. Let's see. There is a knowing within the bone. Allow it to guide you. Yeah. Someone is trying to connect, even through this reading, group number 3. Let's see what Spirit has to say. Yeah, I like your comment, Cindy, about the bud. We're still going to focus on the bud. What are you saying, Spirit? This could be an upside down King of Swords. An Emperor. And Judgment. I think this person, it's kind of interesting because the way I had it set up was I pulled the upside down King of Swords first and then the Emperor. And on this deck, I don't know if you could see it really close, like the Emperor's eyes are like looking at the upside down King of Swords. I think this is one person. When they're around you, even though they are truly an Emperor, I think when they are around you, their energy, regardless of how do I want to say, gender, this person is pretty strong-willed person, you know, pretty confident, but when they're around you, they lose their words. That's how you're going to know who this person is. They may be uncharacteristically quiet, or they may uncharacteristically stumble upon their words. And they're trying to figure out why. They're trying to figure out why they have this spiritual connection with you, or what this connection is. I think for many of you, you have been doing some kind of 5D communication. Let's see. Who is this person's spirit? Let me go here. Who is this person? I think it's somebody that you don't take seriously because you think they are a Don Juan. You think, nah, this person's not serious. This person has way too many people, which I think, you know, if there is an Emperor in your life, they do have a lot of people who are attracted to them. This is not someone who it's kind of just like quietly around. They are noticed when they walk into rooms. This person is noticed quite a few places. There's a lot of giggling people around them. I don't know why Spirit is showing me that. There's a lot of laughing around them. You know, a lot of people who, you know, serious contenders, even Spirit is showing me. Like, you know, serious people who want this person's attention. Yeah. Yeah. Lions. So it's very interesting. This person could also be very creative in some sense. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean that's their job, but they have some kind of, maybe they're an artist of some sort. They may do something creative. They might actually do some of that for their work. Because creative field can be anything, right? Illustration, marketing, music. I mean, they could be creative in a lot of ways. Writing. They see you as a queen, though. They see you as someone who they feel like would be a match for them. I mean, it's kind of interesting because I heard another reader talk about the emperor and the empress not necessarily being a match for each other because the energy is way too intense between the two. But a queen and an emperor could work out. It's mainly because you have your own things going on, but you're not in a place of like needing some kind of competition in the relationship. It doesn't necessarily mean that has to be like the solid truth. I mean, an emperor could compete with a queen as well, and vice versa. But there's something a little bit more relaxed with this pair than an emperor and empress. But take it where it resonates. But this person sees you as someone who's really independent, got their own things, very compassionate, looks out for the people that they have responsibility for. Some of you could be single parents, doesn't have to be, but you may be in charge or supervise people if it isn't your own kids. I think this person has a difficult time deciding how they want to pursue you. Group number 3. I think sometimes they're like, I should just kind of get to know group number 3. I should just get to know group number 3, their interest and all this other stuff. But then there's parts of them that are very attracted to you. And they kind of wonder if they kind of should pursue you that way. Just go with straight attraction. But I think they know with the queen, this is what's interesting about queens. They also have a lot of attention on them. They have a lot of suitors. In fact, queens, spirit is saying to me even, queens may have more serious suitors. You know what I'm saying? Like if you are in queen energy, you probably have a couple, maybe one person that is really looking at you as partnership material. For some of you, you could have even been in a long-term kind of dating thing with someone. And someone is, you may be able to tell someone's trying to deepen the relationship, but you've got this emperor taking notice now. And so I think when this kind of union comes up, there's always going to be a little bit of like, I've kind of got someone I'm with right now who feels a little serious to me, but this emperor rolls around and you're like, some of you would say yes to getting to know this emperor, and others of you, I think you're kind of really seeing this person as someone you shouldn't take a risk on because you have something that might feel solid to you right now, or it's growing that way. What do you want to say about this, spirit? Because spirit's kind of like, that's the situation, is that there's going to be a little bit of a hesitation. Yeah, I mean, literally, I think many of you have been through this kind of energy before. You don't want to like relive something like that. And I think this Don Juan came out in reverse though. So I think this emperor can appear as someone who's a bit of a player, but they may not be. They just have a lot of people who like them. I mean, really, this is somebody that you're with them and you've got people coming up to the dinner table talking about, oh, hey, emperor, how are you? And you're like, am I invisible here? Like that kind of situation. And I don't think this emperor, I think they could shut things down, but I think they could do that in such an intense way that they're just very careful about how they manage people around them. But I think something about being with you, it's going to make them a little bit more aggressive to kind of shut down some of that extra energy. This is what spirit is saying. So where is this going, spirit? What's up with it? Yeah, this emperor is gonna really try to play that they are not play, but this emperor really wants to show their more King of Cups side, meaning they want to show that they're emotionally attuned, that they're not their kind of like huffy gruffy self, that they can be attuned to you emotionally, that they're kind of a nice person. I think there's something about this person that you have some kind of impression about, and they're going to really try to play to a more, you know, feeling and compassionate side. They're going to really try to show up as this King of Cups. They're going to be like, you have nothing to worry about. Yes, I can see how that could be very disturbing. People coming up to us. Why don't we go back to my place and I'll fix you dinner? But anyway, there's going to be something where this person is going to try to play up their more emotionally intelligent side. And it's not a game, even though I keep using words like play, but I think they really do want you to know that they have genuine interest in you. Yeah, they're not trying to juggle you. They're going to make that kind of more apparent. And so this is going to be interesting for you. Yeah, I don't know why I'm seeing this word, this sheeps and lions. You are going to understand too that this emperor kind of is a little bit more of a standout person. There's something about them, maybe their maturity, maybe their experience, just maybe who they are, that sticks out a little bit more to you than maybe some of the people that you've been dating. It's just that you're not sure if you need to take a risk on someone like this. I think whoever you are in group number 3, and I'm going to admit I'm kind of like this too. I don't like a lot of competition. Like, I don't like to feel like I'm always like competing with people. Like, that's just not my vibe. And I think group number 3 spirit is saying that may not be your vibe. Like, you don't like to feel like, everything is about, the focus on you being, I don't know why I'm hearing this, fit enough for this emperor, or, just kind of like, maybe for some of you, this would like being like with a celebrity and just having people comment on your looks all the time. And you're like, it's really not about that. And I think this emperor is going to try to deflect from some of that aspect of their life. This is someone who works really hard at what they do. Whatever their career is, they've taken a lot of time to build it up. And, along with that success comes a lot of attention. This could also be you too. Like, you've taken time to build the things that you have. And I think this emperor also notices that you're just not going to put it up on a whim. Your life is, you've spent too much time balancing your own life. You're not here for drama or games. And I think that's something this emperor is seeing as well. Yeah, you are not going to go for any situation where you're going to feel like you're a prisoner in it. So this emperor, in many ways, spirit is saying, is going to have to change their life a little bit. I think more in a kind of, I just want to say in a more social way. They may have to like switch some things up to be with you, because you're not going to want to be in that energy constantly. Let's see what else spirit is saying about that. Yeah, I think you're going to feel, because the Justice card came out in reverse, you're going to feel in the beginning it's a little unbalanced. If you decide to go out with this person or cultivate a relationship, you're not going to feel very balanced in the beginning. And I think this emperor is going to see that. Like, this isn't your jam. A lot of real social party, like, you might like it in the beginning, and then you're like, no, I'm not here to do this kind of like competing for your attention. Like, if you're going out with me, you may even say this, group number 3, if you're going to be with me, you're with me. Yeah, you're not It's funny because Spirit just keeps confirming it. Like, you're not up for some competition. You're not here doing any kind of like sparring for this Emperor's attention. You will put it out there. You're like, that's not me. Maybe you need to be with people like this. Maybe you need to be with people who are ready, camera ready. Like you're gonna. Interesting. What's the outcome, Spirit? What's the outcome? There's definitely someone who wants this Emperor's attention. They're willing to do anything. And this might drive you crazy. Yeah. And it's like they're trying to prevent you and him from pouring cups into each other. Like they're trying to prevent this relationship from getting more serious. So you're going to see this person showing up around all the time. It doesn't matter where you all are. This person somehow finds out, and shows up at the same parties, same dinner party. Like this may be someone that is around them. Yeah, it's like exhausting. What's going to happen, Spirit? Because there is somebody who's really serious about getting this Emperor's attention. I think you're going to decide. It's going to come down to like where you all are going. For some of you, this is not going to work. For others of you, you may take it slow. You may not leave right away, but yeah, because this person going to come. They're like, no, but I really like you. I think they're really convincing to want to be in a relationship with you. They really feel like they want to offer a cup to you. But yeah, look, the Empress is coming up. I think ultimately this is your energy. And what they're going to see is that, like I said earlier, because I think that other reader was right. The Emperor and the Empress, it could be a very, very dynamic power couple. But both of these people have requirements. Really. These are two energies that are not going to budge on anything that feels like less than what they deserve. So, yeah. Spirit won't tell me the outcome, but I think Spirit keeps saying it's going to be up to, because this is a few people in group 3. It's going to be up to you. Yeah. Some of you may decide, no, I just want to focus on my work. I have new stuff that I'm trying to do. This is taking, some of you might decide it's too distracting. Others of you, you might take this all the way to the, you may take this to the altar. Some of you, you might. That's why Spirit's saying it's going to be up to how you feel about it. Some of you are going to be like, nah, too distracting. Others of you, I'll give it a whirl. So we'll see. Yep. Yeah, do it for the plot chat. We need to know. Somebody, each one of you try it a different way and let us know. Let us know what happens. All right. So that is number 3. I don't know if there's anything else. I know. Trust me. Some relationships are a lot of hard work. Some of us are not wanting to do hard work anymore. We're like, we want something easy. Easy like Sunday morning. All right, you all. I think I'm going to head out to bed. Maybe I'll try another midnight tea. And I think with some different decks. I like the decks I was working with before because they're like midnight tea-ish. We'll see. We'll see. But, if you all, yeah, come back and report on it. Let us know what happens with this Emperor or the Queen, whoever, vice versa, Empress. Okay, y'all, take care. I'll see you some other time this weekend. I got a little free time. All right. Take care.